Hello. I was just thinking of doing something regular, but then yesterday we came across some people, and it appears to me that there is a significant confusion about living well and do not resuscitate or DNR orders. This is a very general video for understanding, and I know lots of people go to lawyers, pay money, and get papers signed, so it is for understanding purpose only. I have seen a Harvard professor writing a letter to the editor in one of the medical magazines, stating how when her mother had living well, they ended up putting her on a respirator when she suffered a stroke at night. And it is sad that even at that level, people don't understand the difference between DNR, do not resuscitate, and the living well. So I think I just want to clarify some of the stuff. What does it really mean by living well? And what does it really mean by do not resuscitate? Every time anybody goes in the hospital or goes for estate planning to a lawyer, they're asked, do you have a living will? In the hospital, it is pretty routine, and I think it's a law that they must ask every patient if they have a living will. And the same thing holds true about the estate planning, where lawyers will ask you about a living will, medical power of attorney or surrogate, and a regular will. The first two are related to the healthcare. The last one is related to your assets. So we're going to talk about the living will and maybe the medical surrogate or power of medical attorney, medical power. So let's start with the living will. Living will states that two different points. One, I do not want to be sustained or maintained if my condition is determined to be terminal. And the second part is about the nutrition, whether you want to be fed with a tube or supported on a nutrition if your condition is terminal. So those two issues are your thinking about life. And this is done when you are not actually facing the possibility that you're going to be put on a respirator or resuscitated with CPR or tube shoved through your nose into the stomach to feed you. So this is purely a planning in case one is diagnosed to have a terminal condition from where the chance of recovery is not there. So for example, if somebody sustains a stroke and the chance is not clear whether they would recover or not, the living will does not help unless the parties concerned say that I have a stroke or my father or mother has a stroke. We don't want them to be put on a respirator. Now again, certain types of strokes like significant bleeding in the brain, where somebody is totally comatose, unconscious, and the chance of recovery is not there, then this applies. But then one has to sign a paper called Do Not Resuscitate. Do Not Resuscitate means that under any circumstances, one would not be put on a respirator or a breathing machine or resuscitated with cardiac massage or sometimes even the drugs to resuscitate person. Nutrition is still a separate issue. So if somebody is diagnosed with terminal cancer and don't want to be put on machine because which will prolong the life, then they need to make DNR papers or do not resuscitate papers. The living will is valid. It tells you what you really feel if the condition is terminal, but it does not allow physicians to make a decision that they will not put on a respirator or do resuscitation. It gives an understanding, but DNR paper must be signed either by patient, if he is conscious and can make his own decision, or by somebody that he has designated as medical surrogate. So if a spouse or a son, daughter, brother, sister, father, mother, friend, neighbor is assigned that duty in absence of patient capable of making decision, medical surrogate makes the decision. One of the misconceptions that I have seen is that a lot of times the children of the patient may feel that because their name is on medical surrogate or medical decision making person, they have a right to make decision. No. If the patient can make decision, his decision or her decision is the final, and a medical surrogate comes only in picture when patient himself or herself is incapable of making the decision. So going back again, LivingWell indicates what is your philosophical thinking about nutrition, resuscitation, being on machines or respirators, in case the diagnosis is of a terminal disease, whether it is a cancer, whether it is a stroke, or whether it is something else. You are telling that I really don't want to be prolonged. But that does not give full right to medical community not to resuscitate, not to put you on nutritional support or respirator or respiratory support. That decision is made only when do not resuscitate or DNR paper is signed by the patient or by patient's medical surrogate who acts when patient cannot make the decision. So the two things to be very clear, LivingWell does not mean DNR. Medical surrogate decision comes in existence only when patient cannot make the decision, either because they're comatose, they have dementia, or otherwise. So the two things are very distinct and clear. Now, nutritional support is something which is not pushed for, but that is also made as a part of the LivingWell in the signature done by attorneys. So when you say that I want to get nutrition, then a tube may be the alternative if you can't eat or if you cannot swallow or if you're comatose. Then the tube may be considered if you have opted for nutritional support. This tube could be put through the nose, which is usually temporary, or directly in the stomach through the belly wall called PEG or gastrostomy tube. So that is an independent of DNR. There are two kinds of DNR forms, and I'm not trying to confuse anybody. But one DNR form which is done in the hospitals. So hospital has their own form where the patient can sign or medical surrogate power of attorney can sign saying, I do not want to be put on machines, resuscitated or given certain drugs to sustain the blood pressure, heart rate, etc. That form is valid only for that hospitalization. So that form outside the hospital, in a restaurant, in a mall, at your own place or home is not valid, and that order cannot be carried out by the paramedics or medical community. Certainly gives a guideline that the patient had made decision, but sometimes the things change. Somebody who has, say, for example, a stroke and he has recovered significantly, he may not want to be DNR. Somebody who has a cancer who is on a treatment and substantial improvement has occurred, he or she may not want to continue to be DNR next time when they are in the hospital. So if somebody desires that they would never be put on a respirator, never be resuscitated, never be given drugs to maintain blood pressure or heart rate as a sustaining thing under any circumstances, they have to sign a form called community DNR. The community DNR has two parts. One is a bigger form where a physician signs and a patient signs, and then there is a small piece of paper which people or patients can carry in their wallet or purse, so that even if they're outside and have that form signed as a small driver's license size piece of paper, then they will not be resuscitated by paramedic in case they need such, and paramedics are called in, say, mall or in your own home or theater or shopping plaza, etc. So remember, LivingWell is different than DNR, and DNR, community DNR is valid no matter where you are, while hospital DNR is valid only for that hospital admission. Thank you for watching. Hope you like it, and subscribe. Have a nice day.